Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Todd, and I'm an old-ass mountain biker living here in Massachusetts. So it's coming close to the end of the season, and I have definitely neglected to do a little bit of maintenance on the bike. At the beginning of the month, I was up in Killington, and there were a couple of rides there where my brakes basically faded to nothing by the end of the run, so they definitely need a bleed. I'm also going to change out the pads and hopefully have all of this ready in time to go to Thunder Mountain in the morning. It's a little bit wet and nasty outside from the rain we've gotten in the last 24 hours, so good time to do some maintenance. Join me. So I've decided to follow the advice that I saw on this video from the Lost Co, where they talk about gravity bleeding your brakes. And the theory being that for the most part, the only place for dirt to get into the system is through the seals around the calipers, around the pistons. And so if you do a gravity bleed, you're really pushing all of that junk out and not pushing it through the system with a syringe. So that is what we are going to be doing today. So in order to set up the caliper for the service, you're going to need some kind of drain hose. You're going to need a wrench that is sized correctly to break open the bleed port, and a hex wrench to be able to remove the calipers in case you want to move it around and really try and get any of those bubbles out, or if you need, clearance to get your bleed block in. And you should probably also have a bleed block, which I will grab before we actually start the service. But in the meanwhile, let's go and set up the lever. For the lever end of the service, you're going to need a reservoir to hold the mineral oil and some hydraulic mineral oil. All of this stuff came with my bleed kit that I bought on Amazon. Nothing special there. We are just removing the cap to the reservoir on the bike. And when you do, I don't know if I'm doing a good job, make sure you get the O-ring to come out with the bolt. In this case, I do. Be careful when you screw in the reservoir. It's very easy to cross-thread it and strip the cup. And then don't make it too snug. Finger tight is plenty. We are going to go ahead and add a little bit of mineral oil to begin with. And we're going to open up the reservoir, flick the lever a couple of times. The reason why we only put a little bit of mineral oil in to begin with is if any dirt does come back out, I don't want to ruin a cup. I only have a small amount of mineral oil that came with my bleed kit. So with that said, and you don't want to pull it straight out. You're supposed to wiggle it around in a circle, and then it slowly pull and releases itself. And we did actually get one little air bubble and another one. A couple of flicks on the handle just to make sure there are no more air bubbles. All right. I think that's what I'm supposed to have done. And now let's go and make sure we get the bleed block in, crack open the port to do the drain on the bottom, and we should see some nasty stuff come out. Okay, so while we were off camera, I put the bleed block in, I filled the reservoir, and the only thing left should be to crack open the bleed valve on this side, and then just making sure that the reservoir or the cup on the other side never runs empty. because then I just run the risk of putting air right back into the system, and I can see some air bubbles as gravity starts to take over. All right, so I'm not exactly sure how long this will ultimately take, but when I watched them do it on the Lost Co, they eventually removed the caliper from the bike and really allowed it to move around. I don't know. They did it without a bleed block as well, which I don't know if I'm that comfortable doing this yet. First time I am ever bleeding my own brakes. All right, so as we can see, fluid is starting to come through, and the color doesn't look that bad, but look at all of those air bubbles coming out. Oh my. Wow, here comes the dirty stuff. All right, with the service complete, we can remove the bleed block. And then we're going to spray everything down with some brake cleaner, just to make sure none of that mineral oil is there to contaminate our rotors or new brake pads that we're going to put in. And yeah, we'll do the front, and this bike should ride like almost brand new again, huh? So there you go. We just did our first brake bleed. Now I'm going to do it on the front brakes, and you know, the real test is going to be tomorrow when I'm up at Thunder Mountain. When I hit my brakes, do I stop? Thanks everyone. Consider subscribing.